Hello, this is Song Dive, a new podcast hosted by me, Ali Kuva.
And me, Sarah Tudzin.
Both Sarah and I are songwriters and performers, as well as producers and engineers. I make music in New York City under the artist name Ali.
And I make music in Los Angeles under the name Illuminati Hotties.
We're starting Song Dive because we want to create a forum specifically for female and gender expansive artists to share details about their songs, such as why a song was written and also how it evolved from voice memo to final recording.
We're diving deeply into the music, lyrics, production, and engineering behind some of our favorite artists and songmakers' latest works.
Without further ado,
let's dive in. On this episode of Song Dive, we are joined by songwriter, guitarist, producer, and perpetual deep thinker Sidney Gish. Sidney releases music under her own name, most notably the 2017 instant classic No Dogs Allowed, and most recently a single called Lonesome Ride in collaboration with prior guest of the pod, Grumpy. Throughout this episode, we dive deep into a conversation about the creative process, idea generation, and the ever-elusive question, how the heck do you finish something? Sidney is full of sage wisdom, Pinterest-inspired motivational theories, and philosophical musings about the process of making great art. So please welcome to the pod, Sidney Gish.
All right, hey, what's up? How are you guys?
Sydney? How's it going?
Hello. Okay, is this the mic that you're getting? Do you get that? Okay.
Yeah.
I was saying it was using my built-in microphone, in which case it would be like very far away. So I'm like, as long as this is on, then we're good.
It's on as heck,
Yes.
and that is good.
Awesome. Oh, I put you guys on my monitor that's above me now, which is why I'm looking
sick.
up. I'm like, I don't know what the best monitor to look at is. I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm
It's
just
like-
watching TV.
Awesome.
It's a good game, so
I love
yeah, don't worry
television.
about
I
it.
put you guys back on the lower monitor now. I put you guys back. But yeah, thank you guys for chatting today. Thanks for having me
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
joining us.
Of course.
I checked out the new song that just came out yesterday, or was it Wednesday?
It came out on Wednesday, but we had the release show last night and it was so much fun.
Amazing.
Awesome.
It was a good time.
Did y'all do like each a whole set, or was it like collab
Yeah, I did.
stuff?
I played first. I did an acoustic set and I used my worse loop pedal than the normal one with an electric guitar, which is acoustic for me, which that was really fun. And then Christian's band Precious Human went second, which I also play guitar in, which is so much fun. Love being in a band so much. I'm like so addicted to being in a band that is not mine. I love it so much.
It's good for the ego and for the soul.
It's good for the ego and the soul. Two things I need to survive. Then Heaven played with their band Grumpy, which, they're all super excellent. And then we all did karaoke in front of the karaoke video of the song, which was really fun to do. So
That's awesome.
it was a fun time. Yeah, I feel super happy that we all worked together on that and got to do it. I feel like my instinct is to work by myself, but that I literally never get anything done ever. Something about like Heaven's workflow really inspires me to get shit done. So it was really fun to just finish something for once and work on something that like has an endpoint, that we planned out.
So sick.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It sounds great. The song is awesome.
Thank you. It was really fun to make.
Great. I love to hear that. I took the School of Song. Do you guys know about School of Song?
Oh, is that
Yay.
Brian Eno's doing that? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'm in the Brian Eno thing. I couldn't
Oh my
resist. And
That's great.
yeah, and like he talked a bit about like, as opposed to like singular geniuses, the concept of scenius, where it's like the collaborative effort is like greater than the reason that like someone like Rembrandt exists or Kandinsky is that like they have this sort of scene of other painters and artists around them, and I think that happens like very naturally in music, is like how much sort of like crosstalk happens between acts, and then when we get blessed with like a true collaborative release, it's so fun.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun. It's like, it's great to just work on stuff with other people and go into the world and just like do stuff. Like, I feel like I really got caught up in like theoreticals for a long time. I'm like, oh, this could be good. This could be good. But one of my friends last year was like, you literally need exposure therapy. I'm like, I so do. What the hell? Like, what am I doing? Just trying to think of ideas and not finish them. So I just love it when things happen and things come out. It's really good.
Yeah,
Well-
Sydney, has most of your music like been totally solo, like from beginning to end, or have
Yeah.
you had other collaborators over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really released music in almost, I think, 7 years now. I put music out. I put 2 songs out like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah,
But
I really like those. I
thank
just
you.
listened to them this morning. Yeah.
They're a little, a little hokey and a little bit whatever vibe. It's definitely, you can hear, I think in those recordings you can hear me just like improvising the entire time, which is what the point of the recordings was when I made them. Because anything I thought would be kind of good, I was like, oh, I'll finish this later when I'm better. And like if it's like a song that's really goofy, then it's done immediately. And so when it came time to submit the songs for the Sub Pop Singles Club, I literally just had those. And I'm like, I'm singing in this voice on both of the songs. Like, and that was just what I had to offer at the time.
It was great.
Like,
That film school song is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been waiting for someone to make a song about that.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a super fun improvising thing to do. And then I worked with an engineer, Lily Wen, on that one actually. She
I
mic'd
love
up.
Lily.
You know Lily?
Oh yeah.
I love her. She's super, super chill. I ended up scrapping the album I was working on like 2 years ago, but we worked a lot on it in late 2022. Or I
Why
went in
scrap?
Well, there were no lyrics on the whole thing. I was not present. Like, I made basically video game music with like 9 tracks of each instrument, and then I just gave up. But I think a lot of the ideas were good. It's just it'll come out eventually. Whatever. I think, but it was super fun. Lily, I did a bass take for filming school while I was in the studio with her, and that's what's on the song in the real thing. So
That's awesome.
that was a super fun time. But yeah,
Wow.
really the full albums I made 2 of them, but I made them both completely alone. And to this day, I feel so lucky that I was able to just point at that and it worked for the years that it has. Because like I feel like really I still love engineering and producing and everything. I would love to just figure it out, Like I really I see it like as this bizarre feminist hero's journey that I have to go on.
Yeah.
I literally
That's
have
like
to do
the
it.
ethos of our
I
pod.
have to do it so hard. I'm like, it has to be like I need to go on this bizarre quest of like engineering an album and doing it again. Like it's just something I want to do so bad for my own sake. So, it's so much fun. I like doing that skill. So, I just want to get better at like finishing stuff in the position I'm in now. Yeah.
What would it take to like finish things on your end now?
I don't know. I mean, mostly like I wasn't really. I feel like I had a complete change in my perspective after I got like attention for No Dogs Allowed, because like up until that point, my thought was like, oh my god, like I'm so not like other girls. I will do anything. I am not like other girls. I will completely put out any art I make, no matter how experimental or weird it is. I'm like totally maximalist in terms of what art I want to put out, because otherwise like I'll never have done anything ever. And so it's better to do something than nothing. But then once I had an audience, I was like, okay, no more funny business. No
I'm serious.
No more funny business. This was what I wanted all along, and now I just have to put out things that are good. And like that,
Wow.
I think is what made me overthink so hard. But also it was like starting a business and dealing with the different ways that people start talking to you, and like realizing that like, wow, I really tricked everyone. Now what? I'm trapped in a Holiday Inn in Bismarck, North Dakota. I'm on tour alone. Like, who do I turn to? Like, I feel like I just got really into like, I don't know. I've experienced a lot of things, and I was able to, because I was solo the whole time, I was able to go into so many different environments and see what they were like. And I just feel so like, oh my God, I can't wait until I can tell a good story again. And even if I can't wait till I finish it and I can put it out, because I feel like I've learned so much. I can't wait to tell new stories now.
Wow.
I don't know. How are you guys doing? How are you? Like, I really feel like I'm in rant mode right now.
No, you're good.
This is perfect. Rant mode
Yeah.
is so conducive to podcasting.
Yeah. I would love to hear, I don't know, how do you guys feel about finishing work and stuff, whether it's your own or if you're working with other people? What's it like to get that last 10% done?
It's such a task. I mean, you said it so beautifully already. It's like a Sisyphean task. And it's like, do we ever finish anything, or do we just kind of give up and decide that like there's a due date, so this is what it is?
Yeah.
Because we probably, if you're engineer brained or producer brained, like you could tinker forever. because the target is always moving, and because sometimes you don't even know what the target is until you've like sort of chipped away more pieces or something. And yeah, it's like it's kind of just a matter of like letting go and saying fuck it, like, you know, sort of like your first record where it's like this is just whatever, like I'm just putting books on the shelf, you know?
Yeah.
So true. Like there's this quote that shows up on my Pinterest at least once a day in my like bizarre motivational quotes algorithm. It's like creative work is never completed, only abandoned.
Yeah.
And it's like next to a picture of like a cute outfit with little purse, and I see this every day. And I like curated this algorithm to like there's like just a picture of Sisyphus like pushing a rock up the thing, and then like a cute little pair of shoes.
Yeah, like a handbag over the shoulder.
Yeah, like just like aesthetic little girly pop, like you will never understand, blah, 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 like just like insane quotes next to like the cutest little outfits, like a picture of a little cat with a bow on its head, just a quote that's like, wake up, stand up, get up at 9 o'clock a.m. or earlier, wake up, stand up, make yourself healthy eggs for breakfast, don't give up, never give up. Like,
healthy eggs.
Like really I love the, you know, I'm trying to figure out what algorithm to attach myself to. Pinterest, I mean, it's supposed to motivate you and be aspirational, you know, with an Arab camp, which is good. But that's the quote that you were just reminding me of, the like creative work, you abandon it, you don't ever complete it. And it's like, I feel like, you know, it's hard to abandon something if you feel in your soul that you're polishing a turd. Do you guys ever relate to that?
Oh yeah,
totally. I
100%.
am consistently trying to learn how to get better captures, because I realize like so many of the issues that I've had, like continually chipping away at something and like trying to cut more low mids because it's just so rumbly and ugly, but then realizing like now it sounds so thin. It's like the problem was that the capture was terrible.
Yeah.
And I just listened in headphones really quick and was inspired and just wanted to like let's go while the ideas are running, you know. And it's like so hard to like engineer something well so quickly and like keep up with the pace of like the excitement that I'll have for like a creative idea. So yeah.
No,
exactly.
that's so true. It's like I feel like if you have a good idea, as long as the mix is like you can hear what's going on, you know, it really matters so much more what you're recording instead of how you're tinkering with it and how you're mixing it. Like a good mix really can make a song really pop and really be like so listenable compared to what it otherwise would have been. But like, you know, stuff like the arrangement and stuff like can really change it. Or like hearing like the one song I'm thinking of now is just like, I think it actually went viral on TikTok, which like thank God, because it was already viral in real life. It's from the 60s, but that song Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but there's the recording of it that went viral that sounds really good is like kind of wall of sounds, like not maybe brill building, but like totally like wall of sound, like, you know, they're thinking about Phil Spector when they recorded it. I know they were. Yeah. But then there's another recording of it that was the only one on Spotify in 2019 for a few months. And when I heard it on YouTube, because it was over this like gif of a 60s woman dancing with like millions of views, and all the comments were like, I miss when women looked like this. And it kept showing up in everybody's recommended videos. And so I was streaming on YouTube like, wow, this song is so good. This is like totally like pop worship music, like, you know, when you worship the math of pop music, whatever, like perfect song. And then I go on Spotify and the only recording of it is like some sort of re-recorded or remixed version where like it sounds like it somehow got quantized or something. And it's just so much worse. And I'm like, I never would have even liked this song if that was the recording that was out. And it's like, it really makes a huge difference.
It's been like spiritually quantized.
Yeah, I'm like I don't know what it otherwise would, because they uploaded the normal one to Spotify by now. And
Did it just sound like really sterile and like digital?
Love Grows, where I don't want to be Googling on the pod. Excuse me.
You totally can.
Excuse me. Yeah, Edison Lighthouse, blah, blah, blah. Because I remember when they uploaded the good version to Spotify, it was attached somehow to the metadata from like the movie Shallow Hal starring Jack Black, I want to say. And so it was like I had to look at that picture to listen to the good song, like for like a year. That. And then they changed it back. It was on the soundtrack to like Shallow Hal, and somehow that was the Spotify official version was from the Shallow Hal soundtrack, which is crazy. But I'm like, you know, when I was recording my own music, or when I was trying to finish a record really hard on purpose, like in 2022, I was like so focused on like making a pop mix and so obsessed with that. But like it really like there was no top line there was top line ideas, but there was no communication or narrative on the whole album. Because I was so like, just for whatever reason, that part of my brain was just, the doors were closed for like 2 years. So I was like, sometimes it's just like that. And sometimes
you think it was like exhaustion?
I don't know.
From just like
just
relentless.
Like I felt like at those same years, I was like, learning how to tour, learning how to work with tour managers, how to tour with bands, how to do live sound in a venue, how to use in-ear monitors, how to use a 3-track looper. Like I was doing all this other stuff where like it was like deer in the headlights, like bizarre thing that like as long as you can survive for 30 minutes on stage, you win. And so I feel like I was just talking about yesterday, like I feel like what happened is like there's an episode of SpongeBob where he tries to learn how to be a waiter and he forgets his name, but he's like the best waiter. And that's like what happened to me. Like that literally happened to me. And so I sat down to make like the SpongeBob record as like the perfect waiter. And like I literally had no idea who I was or what I was doing. And like at the same time, everybody was I met so many awesome people who like, I was like, God, I want to collaborate with you so bad. But like, I just was not really bringing anything to the table. Like, so I want to, or like I was bringing ideas to the table, but I was like, I know in my mind, like I want to do the same thing I did last time. I want to make an album from scratch. It's not that hard. Like people are doing it. Like I did it already. It's not like a deranged idea I now have from nowhere. Like I did it before. That's why I want to do it again. So I don't know. But
how do you how do you find something to say?
I don't know. I mean, like,
or have you like done any sort of discovery in that world? Like once the sort of problem to solve became there's no narrative.
Yeah. Well, I was journaling a lot, especially when I was on tour. I like just filled up a bunch of journals. I was really into like free writing or journaling anytime I would otherwise scroll online. It doesn't matter what you write. If you fill up a page, you win. And if you like go look at some shit online, like you lose, was how I was trying to think about it. So I was like, but then like, it's easy to just get stuck in your own head and feel like an idea is all worn out, even though you haven't showed anybody it yet. And like kind of like speed running this creative process, like with no input from anyone else, which is like a bizarre narcissistic side quest that you can do, but it's like, I don't know if I would even recommend it, but I feel like I have, and then like the downside of that is that like everything you have to say is like, it's no longer people can't relate to your life anymore if you're like completely not sharing enough of it with other people,
Yeah, is that something you had done with like your earlier records, like had a dialogue with like people nearby, like your friends? Like were you trying to make stuff that you liked but also your friends could enjoy?
Yeah.
Or was it okay?
I was trying to make something that was good and that was tight and that didn't waste a lot of time. I remember trying to like do that. And I remember like being open I still eventually want to make a band and like actually start a band. And I just like every time I collaborated with people, it was so much fun. But I felt like I really like once I got excited about an idea, I would just want to go home and make it myself. Like I really just wanted to do that so bad. And I was like, you know what, you can like, you want to respect what this collaboration is, but if you want to go home and make something yourself, you can. And like, I felt like that ended up being like a more fun way for me to do stuff. And I was able to also like create something that like was completely like whatever my strengths and weaknesses were, I could like change it to like disregard all my weaknesses and really play up my strengths. And I wouldn't have to ever be in the position of like being the swinging lady in front of a jazz band, which like I was never able to do that. I was like, I'm going to do like basically like Reggie Watts I was trying to be Reggie Watts the whole time.
Nice.
So like I was like trying to, use the music tech like tools, even at not at an expert level at all, just use music tech tools as like a almost like ventriloquist comedy. I was like, that's what we're gonna do.
So that's such an interesting way to think about performing, and I've seen you play a few times, and it really is like this beautiful sort of like, it's like not a reliance on technology at all. Like it's really just like a use of like as if you were to be like speaking with a band member on stage, because like if you're like shy about banter, so you just like talk to your bass player instead of the audience. Yeah. I feel like there's like a dialogue with you and like, the way you're like sort of building your tracks on stage in front of everyone, which is like, to me, like I would like, it would be a disaster if I tried to do that. So it's such like it doesn't feel like a gag, but it does feel like integral to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like I was able to like, yeah, just, and also I feel like both of y'all are not stupid. You could pull it off. Like you both could do live looping if you needed to. You know how to produce record. You can do it. It's like
I'm getting some test results back later this week, hopefully, and then I'll be able to confirm.
The stupid test. I already failed that. That's why I did this in the first place. Like, you know, I was like thinking like when I was like 18, 19 years old, I was just like, I basically wanted to start Bikini Kill 2.0. But I didn't have the balls for, like, I didn't have the attitude you need. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I was just like, I'm so like, I don't, actually, that's totally fake. What band did I even want to start? I literally don't even know what I wanted to do. Like, I
Is it like Le Tigre?
Yeah, or I wanted to be of Montreal, but that's, they're alone. Kevin is alone the whole time. That's the whole point of that.
Right.
You know, and also like, I don't know. Like, I think I've been blessed to have the amount of freedom that I now have that is now dwindling because I never acted on it. And so that's, you know, I'm just going to like, oh, wow, a little bit less freedom. That's probably going to be good for me. Just like literally do something and like get a move on and do something. But yeah, I just think that like I've had so much fun producing ever. And like, I can't wait to finish the last 10% of everything. I don't know.
Have you made records with like producing other artists?
No, it's something that I feel like I've been delaying that. Like once I get a handle on my own material, I would love to work with other people on theirs, you know? And like I have done it before kind of, but yeah, not really in an organized sense, which like or I don't know. Sorry, I know you do that. Allie, do you work on producing for other people too? How did you guys both get into that? And what was it like learning how to produce other people?
I'm pointing to you, Sarah.
I'm pointing to you. I mean, you know, like similarly, it's just like you again, like I feel like I'm just hearing so much of like my own brain thoughts in what you're saying, Sidney, where it's like it is a bit of like a heroic like feminist quest where I'm like looking at
like it's like so cringe to call it that, but I'm like, damn, I really am like putting it off because that is what it is to me. Like I'm completely like,
I mean, you think of all these sort of like powerful, incredible creators who are women in history, and none of them called themselves producers until like the last, 10 or 15 years. It kind of became more of like people started taking ownership over their work a little more. And like, has that not been sort of the like, the course of history is like women not being or feeling like they can't take ownership over the work they've done, like way back to like the penicillin, like or whatever, the vaccine, like
shout out penicillin.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like the women of the past who were lurking in the shadows,
exactly.
I feel like
but it became like a sort of like looking at everyone and being like, this fucking guy can do that. Like, why? I'm not like dumber than that person.
I'm like, I'm as dumb as this person.
Exactly.
Like, I am so equally stupid to them, and I'm more deranged. So, the entropy is higher, even if the intelligence is lower. You can't tell me that I can't go nuts right now. You can't tell me that I can't do it. But I feel like at the same time, I don't know. I feel like, well, phrasing it as feminist hero's journey is like, it's a meme in my mind right now that I'm doing. It's like a bit in my own brain. But I feel like the line between feminist hero's journey and toxic girl boss is very thin.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And it's
100%.
It's the era of the blowback to the toxic girl bosses of the time. So it's like, I don't know. I don't even want to, I'm just like, if I'm ever like, I'm just like, at the same time, to my own mind, to my own self, I'm like, calm down. There have been deranged women throughout all of history, and you either prove it or you don't,
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like if I think too hard about feminism, I end up just like sitting in a chair, staring at the wall, being like, yes, like I don't even want to do anything. So I don't know. It's fun to just think of as it's an option.
Yeah. Well, I think that can, in my mind, kind of differentiate those two roles that you're talking about. Like something that I think is like at least toxic for me is just like talking too much about doing the thing instead of doing the thing.
Yeah, that's so toxic. That's like my top toxic trait.
Yeah,
ever.
that was like a hesitancy I had around starting a podcast.
Mhm.
Was like, I don't want this to become a thing where we're just talking about ideas and not having time to apply any of them.
Yeah.
But thankfully, like, I don't think it's ever gonna be that, because I won't let it get to that point. And instead it's just, become a place to share ideas and think about things differently. So I really appreciate you sharing. But yeah, feminist hero's journey is a hilarious way to describe the pursuit of being so self-reliant and motivated and competent in both technical and creative, and just kind of like blurring the lines there and seeing a project through from beginning to end. Like, that is a lot of different things, and historically that has been designated to various different roles. And like, dudes would be like, this is my job, and another guy's like, this is my job, and I do that. And now, like, you're describing, like, you're basically just checking all those boxes as far as your album is concerned, whatever you're working on. And like, that's a lot. That's big. So anyways, my 2 cents.
How did you pull off the Band-Aid, Allie, and start, being able to be like, I am the producer that other bands call?
I think it just came from me working with, like, I was interested in co-writing a lot, like when I was in college, and just collaborating. And I hadn't really found my own voice yet. Like, I didn't know like who I was not in touch enough with myself to know really what my singular voice could be and what I would do totally alone, which is like at least true in a lyrical sense. I had been making instrumental music and like crazy like prog jazz metal in high school. I just found some videos of that the other day, and like some old like Pro Tools demos that I had made in high school, and it's fucking crazy. Like 10-minute long songs that were nothing repeats. Whoa. And it's just like the modal mixture, just like absolutely bonkers stuff. But when I came to college, I met people that they just had me getting excited about like music that had lyrics and vocals. And so I started by just like collaborating with those people, helping them make like songs and chords and write different parts and then lyrics. And then eventually when I was like 23 or so, I started collaborating with my sibling, where he would make some of the tracks, so then I could like top line. So I kind of just like gradually transitioned into that. And then all the while, I guess I had been helping people like finish their stuff, or trying to. And so it's just kind of out of a necessity of like the other person being like, well, I don't even know how to work GarageBand, and you seem to know how to work Ableton like pretty well. So it just kind of happened that way. But it's a really exciting thing to be able to do now, and like to have any sort of confidence in such a humbling field. Like I heard someone say the other day, like engineering is full of epiphanies, like every day, you're like, I totally get that. Like that now I know. And, and that's great. But I think it's also just really nice to be able to be like trusted by other people, like with their precious work. 'Cause it is like a really like spiritual thing, I think, ultimately. And it's just like a really huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, Sidney, I know that you mentioned a bit about wanting to speak on idea generation, and we sort of scratched the surface maybe with like free writing, but I do think that like a lot of people who maybe would listen to a podcast like this or want to be inspired is like part of the like finishing is really truly like a consistent problem forever, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, we have to talk about that.
I can't believe I was like, oh yeah, we could talk about idea generation / finishing things, which is like polar opposites. And like, I have a huge problem with finishing things. I have no problem with coming up with 10% of an idea and then throwing it into the river. I do that every hour. Like,
well, speak on that a little bit. I would love to hear more about sort of like idea generation, because I do think there's this sort of like a scope of audience that's like, just like, it's not going to be good, and doesn't even start, Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, how do I make something? Like just like the very basic.
Yeah. I feel like, whenever I get into a mode of like, at least for the last 2 songs I put out, which are now, that was 2 years ago. But like I came up with both of those years before they came out too. But like a few different go-tos for like, if you open up Logic and you have to make something immediately type thing. Mm-hmm. It depends on like because I also, I also got into radio sampling a bit. So like but that's not on Logic. Like I feel like there's like a few set mini games in my head that like, if you're going to make audio, here's 3 games you can start playing. And then if you get bored with the game and want to make a new one up, great, follow that. But if you're completely bored and uninspired and you want to do something, but anyway, with Filming School and Motherfucking Stupid on the Side of the Road, those are both songs where I just hit record and I had to like sing something catchy that I thought made sense of it. Like if I heard this song in like a Walgreens, what would the guy be saying in it? Like what would this song, if it was just coming from the air, like not me communicating with people about how I feel, but like if this was a song that was just in the air, like a made up song for like a comedy show, like what would it even have in it? Like, what would a guy be saying in this song if it was a real song? Like, like, so just like hitting record and because also like that way the first vocal take is like the real one. There's no like 20 stacks of takes where it's like one day when I feel good about myself, I'm going to sound really good. Like there's none of that. Like the first take, the whole point of it is that it's like, this is the song that would be in the air today if like a guy was just singing it. And so as a result, you get like a finished song, but it's not necessarily tight or catchy or making a lot of sense. It might be fun in brief spurts, but it's not really polished in the way that something you think about can be. But at least you got audio from it and you win. And like, you're trying to come up with like, another thing I try to do is like play what you hear. I mean, I don't even follow this rule like literally all the time ever, but just like if you try and think of like, if this was gonna be a song that I heard in the wild, what kind of part would be playing here? Try and think about what would make sense in a normal sense, what would usually belong here, and then play that instead of like, oh, I'm going to pull up the new keyboard patch that I just downloaded and load up like keys 99 and just go chord, 4, 4, 4 divided by 2 divided by 8. Good math, we did it. It looks good on the grid. And then it's like this, it doesn't even sound good in the song. It just detracts from everything else type, just trying to think like, because there was like advice once that someone said, I don't know who it is. People keep passing this advice around where it's like, people can only hear 3 oh wait, did we lose Sarah?
She has stopped recording, so it may have to do with like maybe her computer just died or something.
Oh my god. Oh my
One
god.
sec.
Rip.
No, because I was really into what you were saying.
I'm like, no, we lost Sarah. Oh my god. Hey, oh
Hey,
my god, you're back.
Great.
Oh
That
my
was
god, you're
quick.
back.
What just happened?
Oh my god. Is your computer good? Are you good?
Yeah, I just was sitting here not touching anything and then it kicked me
That's
out.
so crazy. Oh my god. No, I'm so glad to have you back. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah,
Like,
for the advice.
I'm
Let's
okay.
let's hear that.
Oh, so the advice that people, but it's like audiences can only hear, I think it's like 3 or 4 elements at a time. And you want to like, I think like this was like maybe like Dylan Brady was quoting somebody who said that. But just like the people who like worship like the top 100 pop songs or whatever, like those people, they're always like, here's the math of pop. Like it has to do song math correctly, but also there's like the elements in it. Like if you listen to like the Timbaland stuff, like just like if there's like 3 elements that perfectly interconnect with each other and they're all distinctive, that's going to make a song really pop and be really catchy instead of just like, okay, so I have DI guitar on this channel and I have the amp emulator on this channel and I have the other guitar on this channel. And I, like, just like you can get caught up in just like anytime I've tried to, because like, people can make a catchy wall of guitars really easily, but like anytime I try to layer stuff, just like, I feel like my problem is like, oh, I'll make like 20 potential layers that could all go into one song. And then I just have this brick of shit and it doesn't sound good for me to listen to. It doesn't sound good for audiences. Like, if I bring in my friends to listen to it, oh, that's good. Yeah. No, people will like it if you put it out because they like you, like,
well, yeah, I feel like
I'm
something
like,
too
that's
is
not the point.
over the
That's
last
not the
like
point.
20 years, like the chart topping music you're talking about, guitar is so rarely a primary instrument in those, like in Timbaland, like you never hear it. If anything, it's like a puny little almost percussive thing off to the side, like an afterthought.
Yeah.
yeah.
The piano guitar.
Yeah. Like a MIDI.
Yeah, it's like Yamaha motif guitar. Yeah.
Like Steal My Sunshine by Len, that has guitar in it. And it's like, those guys are goofballs. They are all goofballs. They completely, I mean, that's their one hit, but it rocks. And it's the sample base. Just like you can like, I'm just so, and also like, I mean, this is only tangentially related. I need to finish points better, but like that, I'm kind of sad about the TikTok ban because I feel like a lot of indie bands that made one catchy song could really get a big moment of success there. And I was kind of hoping that eventually I would get it together and make Steal My Sunshine by Len. But now I've got to make it on Red Note, so it has to resonate with China, and I've got to do it next year.
Did that go into effect today?
No, it's like Sunday. It's like to January 19th is it's going to get banned, I think. So I don't know where we're going to migrate. I feel like, there was like MySpace, there was YouTube, but just like the particular way that TikTok intersected with indie music, it was definitely kind of depressing, but like I felt like it was a huge platform for like, because like people promoting their music on TikTok, like, hey, my label won't let me post the snippet, but I did anyway because I'm a rebel. Did I just make the song of the summer? Like, if you're front facing, people are inclined to hate you on that platform. But if you're an indie band with fans already and they want to promote your song to each other, that's how you can get like 100 million plays on like just a random demo. Like, I don't know. I totally like, maybe I've been treating TikTok music industry like Bitcoin this whole time, and I feel crazy. And I didn't even win with Bitcoin. Like, I feel like I went on this insane side quest where I was like obsessed with mining Bitcoin, but it was the thought of making like a 90s one-hit wonder that went viral on TikTok, and now TikTok is ending. So I'm like, oh my God, I totally have lost the plot and strayed from my true path and my true calling. So I must return to the path now and calm down. Yeah. Do you guys ever feel like that? Like you want to make like a song that is just catchy enough to go viral?
I mean, I think that, we live in an economy of cultural capital. And even before TikTok, it was like,
yeah, it was capitalism.
The best music video, or have the I don't know, whatever, like the equivalent. Like, I feel like there's just been over and over again, sort of the equivalent of what TikTok has done for like A, smaller bands, and B, bands that like kind of had lived in obscurity.
Oh my God.
Had lived in obscurity.
Rip Sarah.
And then she's out.
Sarah's gone again. Oh my God.
I think she'll probably pop back up
back
shortly. They lived in obscurity.
Yeah, imagine being OK Go in the treadmill factory and you're about to just drop some heat. You're back!
We lost you into obscurity.
We lost you.
I know. I mean, that was basically all I had to say. It was just like, like, what is the next thing? Like, I think whatever it's going to be is like going to be the thing that allows label people to not have to do their jobs. What that is what it's
literally
like,
the entire
the hack.
Label people are like, what already has an audience and how can we just own that instead? And then become the bank where it's like, if we give you a shit ton of money, can you spend it to make your music better? Or will it just alienate your audience that you're spending all this money now? That,
Yeah.
Like, or I don't know, will you just make weird things that are like getting good grades in school type beat, Like
right.
Getting good grades in school type beat is when you like are a really good coworker, but you're actually making something that is bad for people to consume. Like not dangerous, but just like boring,
Exactly.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
100%. I mean,
yeah,
it is just like sort of a weird thing. And I think like there are bands that create for the app, and like that was definitely in the dark zone. And there are also bands
it's in the dark zone.
Yeah.
It's in the dark zone, but like
yeah. But like also, there were bands that like were able to be real and be themselves and find an audience through it, which is cool,
Yeah.
And there were bands that were able to be real on Be Real.
Be Real.
But yeah, imagine, can you be an influencer on Be Real?
I would love to be an influencer on Be Real.
If you're just like always just sitting on my couch like, I made a sandwich for lunch.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thank you for the support.
It's interesting. I mean, these apps we're talking about are like so visually oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really interesting because the medium of music is obviously invisible, and it can be paired with visual art for like, multi-sensory experience. But it's been really interesting for me just seeing, like the transition from musicians with invisible, art having to like, or just like choosing to engage in TikTok, like such a visual medium where it's like, I don't know, what you're looking at is like probably equally as important as the audio coming from your phone, if not more. Would love to get y'all's thoughts on that. But
yeah. Well, I feel like with TikTok, there was a unique sociological effect that like, it's not something that you can really ever, it's like kind of a blend between like being authentic and being yourself, and then also popping off through the app. Like if you're an indie band that makes like catchy music that like has an audience. You know, you can sell out clubs and towns and stuff. And like for whatever reason, like a small group of 15-year-olds with a particular mental illness decide that they can communicate with each other using videos that have nothing to do with your song, but they use your music as the background music to signal to each other that they have the same mental illness. You don't want to post in that case. You don't want these kids to ever interact with you, but you want to put on a good experience and put on a good show. You can sell out of it. Like, you know, people like youth culture on the internet is so bizarre, and it's really dark to spend 10 plus hours a day online. You know, it's a sad place to be. I don't blame the kids for, and they have it way worse now than I ever did. You know, I was addicted to like Tumblr only, you know, if TikTok was around when I was younger, I would be toast. But like, you know, bands who like the songs become a signal. Like ultimately it's up to your audience how they want to use your music. But like when your song becomes a trend, that means you're this kind of person. That's kind of like, you don't have to make it centered around you, you know, like it's just like your music is the background to like, it's like the score to like someone's experience.
It becomes a part of culture, right?
Yeah.
And people can identify with that, and that can be cool or scary, depending on like the extent. But as far as it can unify people, I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, it can be really helpful for people, and like I gotta stress, like again, it's up to the audience, because I feel like if you go on TikTok and you have like a if you have like a video of yourself like, I just made this song about what it's like to have insert mental illness here, and it would mean a lot to me if you're seeing this video, I'm your best friend now. Congratulations, you discovered me as an artist. I will follow you back. I will comment on all your things. Like when I see a band doing that, it like makes me like break out in hives and start like screeching on the floor and rolling around and dying. I'm like, you don't want to do that. Like even if that worked, that's like such a short fuse to burn. Like you should listen to my music because I'll be your friend if you do. That's so sinister. Like, I literally never want to do that. And it can really backfire if people think that you are their friend. Like, artists who make music that's more sensitive or more emotional, like, their audiences demand a lot. Like, at least the top 0.5 most insane portion of their audience becomes devoted to, like, psychologically torturing this person. It's like, you got to put, like, distance between you and that. But also at the same time, there's music that formatively must have meant a lot to you. You know, it's about the human experience. So if you make honest music and put it, or like some good honest music, like,
blue collar,
some nice honest blue collar music. Yeah, not me. I'm from New Jersey. I'm completely
white collar music.
I'm completely upper middle class fail daughter music. For the ones with some mental illness, which one? Up to you. Honestly, choose your own adventure. Like, but I don't know what my point is. Basically, like seeing indie bands get big on TikTok through the usage of their music, whether it's like sped up or slowed down, as like, this is a song that sounds beautiful, that is dramatic, that makes me think about my own life. And here's, people sharing their experiences in a blogging sense amongst their peers with each other. And they just want to listen to the music. And that it's just less about you, like, I feel like that's good for bands. I don't know. And just like, I don't know. It also, like, once again, with the Bitcoin situation, that is how you can just like make money, is like going viral on TikTok. So I don't know. I feel like I have a completely misled perspective on all this, and now it's not even relevant anymore because TikTok is ending. So I was just like,
well, there's just going to be another.
There's going to be another one, but just like
it's like Reels, like.
Yeah, well, Reels are also evil. Like everyone is 4chan now. Even dads from the Midwest who have families on Maine, they're being 4chan in the comments now. So it's really like, what do I even do? Like, what do I feed this world? What's worth it? You know what I mean?
I wonder if yeah, it's kind of impossible to imagine what America would be like without capitalism. I just don't think it could exist at all. But that would be great if it did. But just like, would any of these dynamics that you're describing exist if it wasn't for like the need for people to like make money to survive and trying to do it through creative ways? But
I feel like
it becomes more about that than like making art, and I'm not judging that, but it is a different thing, I think.
I feel like any sort of capitalist perspective I have is due to living in a capitalist society, and I feel like kind of like kind of almost doom oriented about, I really don't expect that to change in America. Like, really kind of just like, and ultimately like the like I'm trying to think of like the kind of art that happens if you feel doom in capitalism. Like imagine it's 2004 and you're Banksy and you just spray painted like Ronald McDonald crying on the side of a building. You know, like that type
It's
of
like
thing.
angst. Yeah.
Like capitalist society angst type art. I feel like there's elements of that in like when a new artist pops off, gets like 100 million plays, and then like some dark downfall happens to them. I feel like people in a sick way really love to watch that. And
Yes.
I feel like if you get an audience, like, you know, does that make sense? I feel like
Oh, yeah.
people love to do two things. They love to either like say like they love to harass you, or if you're gone, they love to miss you and say, "Why did you leave? Come back."
Yeah.
And like, you know, like I feel like I've spent a lot of time just watching other artists like and what happens to them. Like, you know, artists like who blow up online and are known as like online creators, and artists who like do the indie route and like play clubs and like do the agent manager thing. And like, you know, the online creators can get more streams and more attention and sell out bigger venues than the indie artists can a lot of the time. And like we all live in the same world and look at the same phones. So like, what's the difference in the routes you can take? What's the difference in how people can interact with that work? And like, you know, I think I've thought so much about it that I haven't done anything, and that's a huge problem. Like I need to get an anvil dropped on my head and just fall. Like I really don't want to think about it.
Oh,
ever.
there's an app for that. There's an app you've got to download
Anvil
it.
app. Oh, you know what app I just got is the iBeer app, where you drink a fake beer in the app. That's, you know, apps like that. That's what it's supposed to be for. That's what you're supposed to do on your phone.
Yeah, like original iPhone shit.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, how have you guys felt about like, you know, whether like has there been any sort of interesting things you've realized through like crossing paths in any way with like people who have experienced that kind of like TikTok adjacent fandom where it's like, you are my mommy, I love you so much type fandom, you know, where like it's really like it's not sinister, but it's like, you know, I remember being a fan of people like that when I was younger, and like you shouldn't engage with it, but also you should just continue to put out good art that you think is high quality, you know. And that's how I think. I don't know. How do you guys feel like somebody should interface with that if people are talking to you like that? Really?
I mean, there's so many people I know who have sort of like seen both sides, and most of the people I know in that position came up through indie world where it was grinding and it was playing shows and it was like doing FaceTime with the audience, and now they have that audience built in, and so like their sort of internet presence is rewarded, and they're not fighting an algorithm because they kind of like were just ahead of like when it mattered to be in the algorithm. And then there's like sort of this group of artists that I interact with who their mindset is grind, play shows, it'll work eventually, but like, and I'm in this category too, the online interaction, it didn't get to a place before the online interaction became like important. And it's a bit of like a frustrating place to be, I think, for a lot of people. But also it is a little bit like dehumanizing, and celebrity culture, you know, is so nearby. I'm out in LA, so it's like everywhere I
are you okay?
Also, I'm okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm okay. My folks are okay. It's bad air where I am, but it's, you know, I'm like completely surrounded by highways. So like for the first time since I've been in this location, I'm like, oh, it's not so bad to have cement everywhere. Obviously, like many friends of mine are displaced, and like, you know, I'm trying to help where I can. But other than not being able to like go outside, which is like a bit of like a mental health downer, I'm okay, which is great. But yeah, so like this sort of like celeb aspect, which now can happen overnight through becoming a meme on TikTok, basically.
Yeah.
It is weird to sort of like be hanging out with a person who's like experienced this new sort of like reach, and people come up to them and like literally don't see a human, you know?
Yeah, it's like you're wearing like a Chuck E. Cheese outfit at all times.
Literally, and people come up and they're like, "Oh my god, we're taking a picture," and just like put their arm around you and take a photo.
Yeah, like entitled. Yeah.
And it's like the only positive thing is like if you like think you might continue in this industry, it's like you have the power to design your own Chuck E. Cheese outfit. So which one would you be able to wear all day? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Like an avatar. You have to create like a digital avatar, you know?
Yeah. You know,
and you don't have to. I just said you have to, but there is significant pressure to do so and it's only like a super like select number of folks who like don't.
The thing is, if you don't do it, people will
assign
decide
you one
for you.
Yeah,
you'll be assigned
right.
one, and so you really got to be ahead of the game. It's like I don't have a lot of faith in people as a collective group. I feel like that's insane. Actually, you're just like, I feel like if even just think of like, if half of people think before they speak and the other half don't, most of the speech in the world is not backed by thought. And that's, there's two different ways of living there. But just like, especially on the internet where the algorithms reward cruelty and like anger,
like shock value.
I really don't see, like, I feel like I've spent my whole life on the internet, and even if you're the most genuine, sweet, kind person, it doesn't matter. You're going to get assigned something if your work does well. You're going to get assigned a personality that is able to be stupid. Like you're gonna, even if you already are stupid, like if you have to come up with some sort of internet proof personality that it makes me think about, like, if you're known as a nice person, people are going to watch you for cracks in that. And they're going to be like, she's actually all fucked up because she's like Mr. Peanut Butter, BoJack Horseman in a best case scenario. Like, worst case scenario, she's a toxic liar. But like somebody like Trisha Paytas, for example, famously canceled every day, but she's doing fine because people know her as a completely insane individual. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. So my goal isn't to become Trisha Paytas, but just to become aware of that dynamic where it's like, I don't want a bunch of people to think I'm nice. I want to be entertaining to useful. But like, if you don't want to be loading out of a venue with no friends in your life and a bunch of people who think that they're your friend because they think you're a nice person and that's your brand, it's a weird place to be in.
It's super weird. I think as performers and artists, like even before the internet, where we are acutely aware of designing a persona for our own mental health, like I think we do also need to have an arm's length from like strangers and fans who are supportive, but that maybe have a parasocial connection. And I kind of feel like, like David Lynch just passed away. I think he's sort of like a king at like designing a way that he goes out in the world. And like,
he's such a world building king,
Exactly. And like, that's maybe not how he is with his kid and his wife, but it is the only way we've seen him. And it's like so specific and so brilliant. And it allows us to be like, oh my God, we love David Lynch, when it's like, we really don't know anything about him,
Yeah. His name is the brand of his work. It's like, the name David Lynch is like what you feel when you watch his work as a director. And like the name Calvin Klein, that's a shirt. Is that a man? Like, I don't know. You think of like names that if you put your work out under your own name, the best case scenario is that your work is good and people, well, it's not even about your own ego thinking, do I deserve attention with my own name? Just like if your brand is your name, just like make sure, like my ultimate hope is that like the work is good, and if the work is good and a parasocial relationship happens in music, it's more likely to happen than with directors or designers, but it's the same type of work behind the scenes. It's just more likely to result in this kind of relationship with an audience. And like, I feel like I've definitely overthought how I would potentially deal with that, in a situation that was more severe than the one I'm in now. So I feel like, I've definitely thought it to the complete bone. And I've just done nothing. Like, I really haven't done anything this whole time. Like, but I've been around and I've been doing stuff, but just really like, I feel like I'm going to do something eventually, but I've just thought way too much about myself. There's like this meme of Jemima Kirk with text over it that she answered a Q&A, like where it's like, I think you people are thinking way too much about yourselves. Like, I think you're thinking about yourselves too much. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen this image?
I think about that as a phenomenon.
I'm totally become like so self-centered in an attempt to continue. And like, I don't know what the answer is. I just feel like I've had a series of really interesting experiences that I will cherish forever at this point.
Beautiful. Yeah. And hopefully you keep having them. I also wonder if these mediums, like, they just encourage, if you're always like having to report what's going on in your life and like self-documenting, it does, and you're literally turning the lens toward yourself so often, like maybe every day if you're making, content every day. And like, I do wonder about the psychological toll of that.
I watch a lot of like, or just like influencers on YouTube and Instagram and stuff, like influencers, but also video creators and stuff. Did we lose Sarah again?
No.
Okay, your face was like frozen in this one smile for like a minute on my end. I'm like, wait, did we lose you again?
I think we're good.
But one of the creators I just like think about right now is like, because the thing is like the demand for young women. I say this as like, according to I mean, I'm not young, I'm not young anymore. But like the demand in culture for young women to perform their own lives to a camera is actually like that is a really reliable route. It's like you're probably chances are not because like we're missing out on like beautiful apps built by all these young women. Just like chances are, if you're a young woman, you're better at documenting your own life and having authentic emotions than you are at doing engineering behind the scenes. That's the case for me. I did the engineering to prove a point because I was being annoying. Like, like that's how it feels, honestly. And what I'm thinking about, like, there's this vlogger on YouTube, Ashley Best Dressed is what her handle was, but she would make these like thoughtful videos that were just really like kind of overthinking vibes a lot of the time, but really kind of intellectual, smart videos centered on fashion, but like kind of like an Emma Chamberlain adjacent industry she was in. But the last video she uploaded is her giving an apartment tour of her apartment because she's moving out because a stalker found her. And now she's a successful model. She's pivoted. Like, I feel like that's a really badass way to quit, is to turn the camera back on the audience and say, listen, I got the bag being a young woman online. Here's what happens when you do that. And I'm leaving. And then she didn't come back.
Whoa.
Yeah, and like she did it with a sense of humor and everything, but just like if you're too open with your audience, she wasn't too open with her audience, I don't think. But like, there's a bunch of videos like, criticizing every little thing she said, every little thing wrong with her, and like saying she's problematic. Well, the thing is, it's like, she's problematic because XYZ, and she's not she's like an overthinker. She's like an intellectual overthinker type. But, if you're really good at throwing ideas at the wall like that, you got to eventually realize that just like there's a lot of backlash for people who are seen as relatable because you're not relatable. Nobody really is. And so I don't know. I think a lot about her and like, just the way that she spun things, the way that people reacted to her videos, and like, because that's a bigger industry than a lot of indie rock bands, like it's a huge industry. It's the online digital products sphere.
Way bigger than most indie rock bands, I would say.
Huge. And like, when you're in the indie rock bubble, I said indie walk like a baby. When you're in the
indie walk bubble. Oh, I like that.
I'm trapped in the indie walk bubble.
I'm just imagining like a walk that you're cooking out of.
Indie walk.
Indie walk.
I'm busy making a stir fry in the indie walk and contemplating the feminist hero's journey I'll go on when it's the right time to do so. And I'm not doing it. But yeah, like, just, I don't know. It's just such an interesting thing. And I'm just so interested in everything. But you know what? Ultimately, nobody cares how much stuff you're interested in if you don't make a tangible, consumable product at the end of the day. And that is capitalism, but we are in a capitalist world. So like, what about it? Like, I do want to make the tangible end product. I do, because like, I also wake up every day and I'm hungry to consume more products. That's what happened to me. Like, I want to go look at the most fun video I've ever seen. I want to watch the vloggers. I want to go on Instagram. I want to listen to good music in my ears that got finished and published,
Yeah.
It's just not fun to listen to other people's half-formed ideas. It's like such a gift to see it through and complete it. Like, I have huge respect for anyone who's ever just finished something, put something
me too.
out. Yeah.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Like on Letterboxd, I like can't bear to give something less than like even like 2.5 or 3 stars, just because like the sheer act of like finishing a movie, like that just sounds like so much work.
Yeah. With all the people involved too. Oh yeah. No, it's 2:05 p.m. EST.
Yeah.
It's honestly a lot of work to even finish watching a movie for me.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's like an accomplishment.
Let alone making a movie.
Yeah, I gave myself 5 stars for finishing it.
I have my Letterboxd account is called When I Fell Asleep, and I just write the timestamp of when I fell asleep in every single, because I reliably have hardly ever made it through a whole movie.
Oh my god. Oh, wow.
Great.
Well, Sidney, thank you so much for being on this pod.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Just before we wrap up, can we ask what's next for Sidney Gish?
What's next is that hopefully this spring I'll have vinyl done for my albums that are out now, and I'll have that updated on my web store is my goal for the spring. So that would be really fun. And yeah, mostly I'm going to play more shows before the year ends. I think like I've been kind of at like a I've been at a crossroads. I feel like I'm wearing like a long cape and I'm like weeping in the corner. But like I've been at a crossroads. I feel like I've really tried, or in the last year I've gotten more into like doing different kinds of local performances. Like, not like trying to tie it to what I'm normally doing, but like branching out more into like multimedia comedy stuff. And it's really been fun. So I really would love to my ultimate goal is to put on a performance that if I was in the audience, I would think it would be entertaining and I would have a good time being there. Like, not to share my soul with as many people as possible. Like I do want to make a good product that if I saw it, I would like it and I would want it. Because like,
that's all you can do.
like an audience will never love you as much as your friends and family can. So just make a good product. It's not that hard. That's like what I want to get tattooed on my forehead right now.
Hell yeah. Well, I love to hear
Great.
that. Thanks for being generous with your time and your thoughts. You're so smart and cool. And
Thank you. You guys are as well. Can't wait to listen to this back while I do the dishes in however many days. I can't wait to have this in my podcast AirPod ears shortly to realize what we've talked about.
Absolutely.
Love that. Yeah, thank you so much, Sidney.
Of course. Thank you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy January and February and beyond.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.